Oh, this is so freeing. This is so freeing. Look, I can come close. I can go far away. I can sneak. Wait, I can do, hold on. I can go. I can. Basic camera equipment, very fun. Hello. New day, new project. I'm gonna do something that is both very simple and something that I just haven't gotten around to doing yet, and that is sewing knits on my sewing machine. Yeah, I have never sewed jersey knits on my sewing machine just because I'm like, I hand knit. So why am I gonna sew knits? I just make them, but that's silly. I also know how to do it, so this is definitely the kind of project where I'm really setting myself up for a confidence boost because you get sort of mental credit for doing something you haven't done before, but also you know exactly how to do it and it's not hard. The one wrench I am going to throw in this process is that I'm going to make t-shirts out of all that jersey, and I am going to draft the pattern myself. I have never done pattern drafting before. It's one of those things that all my sewing friends who are more experienced than I am have said oh, it's pattern drafting really isn't that hard. People make it out to be this huge thing and it's not a big deal. You can figure it out on your own if you have the books. I do have this guy. This is Pattern Making for Fashion Design by Helen Joseph Armstrong. If you are somebody who went to fashion school, this is the textbook. I got it from, I don't know, a bizarre academic book site. I think this one was used. It might not have been, but it is the whole thing. But of course, I just, I've gone through it a few times. I have gone through, especially they have a really good section on what kinds of rulers you need to do this kind of work. However, I also have a Kindle edition copy of, where is she? Design It Yourself Clothes, Pattern Making Simplified by Cal Patch. I found out about Cal Patch because I was looking around to follow more people online who are weaving instructors and especially sewing for hand-woven fabric instructors, and I found Cal. Highly recommend this book if you can't figure out how to get a copy of the Helen Joseph Armstrong book. Really super easy to understand. She does it very I just was reading it on vacation, and it's just super easy to make sense of even if you're not used to doing this kind of thing. So with that in my arsenal, I'm going to bust out my big roll of paper that I have for weaving, and I'm just gonna try and take my measurements and sketch out a draft ? And see how it goes. Let's make t-shirts. Taking your own measurements can sometimes be really tricky because if you have to contort yourself into a weird position, you don't want to distort the measurement. And of course, there are many measurements that, require use of hands. But the way that it was spelled out in the book to do these made it pretty easy, and also I do have a general sense of what most of my measurements are, so it was yeah, this checks out. Of course, mapping everything out and getting all those lines and curves and everything drawn down your paper will require becoming a floor troll, as all the Rachel Maxey peeps know very well. Howdy ho. We're back. I have some lovely laundered knits. I've got this teal, and I have this blue floral. And I also have this, I guess it's just like a super, super dark navy. It's not fully black, but it looks black on screen. What's more than that, I have my machine loaded up with my ballpoint needle. I'm also going to try the twin needle setting on this. Sometimes that looks nice as a top stitch on knits. So that's gonna be fun. And I also have all my finished pattern pieces. So we're gonna cut these out. We're gonna sew them up, see what happens. Sorry about the constant hum of the air conditioner, but it's hot as balls and I am taking it off Energy Saver, so you can deal with it. This is a thrifted skirt, by the way. I feel like my personal style is evolving into, what if your third grade teacher was a witch who did CrossFit? I'm pretty okay with that as a vibe. Time to lay out all this fabric and cut it. I did do just a very light, low ironing on these just because they were pretty decently wrinkly from getting washed. And as you're gonna see, it really just was kind of a pain in the butt to cut these. Like, just, when you're used to cutting woven fabrics and then you move to something that's just so drapey and stretchy and just goes absolutely everywhere, it took a little bit of getting used to. So important to remember for this. Before I started sewing right on my pattern pieces like I am here, I took pieces of scrap fabric and I tested out stitch patterns. Always want to test that out on a kind of fabric you've never sewn before, and so I tested out my machine's straight stretch stitch and its stretch zigzag and a couple other things, and I found that I really liked the basic stretch stitch. It worked really well, so I didn't end up bothering with the zigzag, but that's also a totally fantastic option if your machine doesn't have a bunch of options for stretch stitches. Okay, it's the end of the day. As you can see, the first shirt came out amazing. I am super happy with it. I thought for a minute that maybe I had made the distance from my shoulder point to where I want the armhole, the side seam to meet, like this, whatever, you know what I mean. That point from here to here, I thought I had made that too long. Because I did scooch it a little bit more on the long side, just because I really hate it when, like, I feel like my armpit is being strangled by a shirt. Like, that drives me nuts. So I did kind of wonder for a minute, like, oh, should I maybe not have done that? Is it going to be too big? But, like, honestly, after wearing that shirt for, you know, a minute, I was like, oh no, this is actually perfect and does exactly what I want it to do. So I'm super happy with it. I will talk a little bit more about what I've done with the cut and the fit of this shirt pattern later in a way that suits my needs, as it were, just does the things that I want a shirt to do. But because that was such like a quick and easy
process, except for I did have a little bit of drama with the dual needle system, just because I'm a big dum-dum, and I just looked up the basic instructions, like, okay, when you use a needle, like, how do you thread it? And I was like, oh, okay, it does this, and I kept having issues with it. Like, I got all the hemming I needed to do with it, but it fought me a lot in places, and then I did what I should have done in the first place and looked in my specific machine's manual, and it was just, there's one teeny tiny little thing I do right at the end that will keep the threads nice and neat. So when I actually do it correctly next time, it's going to be even quicker to do these. But it was also super fast to cut the patterns out because there's only 4 pieces, so I just went ahead and cut all the pieces out. So gonna have all those pieces cut out and ready to do tomorrow, so that way I can just put my cutting mat away and be done with it and just get right to the sewing tomorrow, which will especially be nice because I do not love cutting the stretchy fabrics. I have learned it is not, they move around, they just, like, it's hard to get them to lie nice and neat, and it's kind of a pain in the butt. So I'm not gonna regret just getting the cutting done tonight. I'm very happy with them, I'm feeling very fancy, and I'll show you how the rest of them look tomorrow. Good night.
We're back. And what is this fancy ass tripod? Just kidding, it's not fancy. It's extremely broken. It is holding the camera on crooked, and it falls over if I look at it the wrong way, but it's still a tripod. Look at this. I can, like, move it directions and stuff. This is amazing. Anyway, I'm gonna finish up these t-shirts. I cut through everything already, so that's all ready to go. Just gonna bust out the old sewing machine. Wham bam, thank you ma'am. And yeah, we're just gonna have some t-shirts, and then we'll finish up, talk about the fit, how we're feeling. I've got my fancy fake coffee wheatgrass juice thing. Ooh, it is tasty. Now let's hop to it. The actual sewing for these shirts was so quick and easy, I kind of couldn't believe it. I mean, I guess compared to, like, this super long and flowy gored skirts I usually do, these are all very short seams, very few pattern pieces, very small, but still, it is a really nice, rewarding thing to just kind of be able to, I don't know if there's ever such a thing as breezing through a sewing project, but this came pretty close. I don't know if you've ever tried getting your sewing machine set up in a position so you can stand and use it, but highly, highly recommend. Feels so much better on my back and everything just to be able to have this set up at my standing desk. Please hold for one of my greatest ever triumphs. Holy shit, I can't. Oh my god, I can't believe this just happened. Oh my god. So, I was feeling spicy because I got the twin needle thing to work out, and I still did screw it up in a couple spots, but like whatever. And I was feeling bold, and I was like, well, the neckband didn't quite sit how I wanted to on this, and I was like, oh well, I could do, if I did that that twin needle thing is detail around the neck, so it matches the sleeves and the hem. I was like, oh, that might look nice. It might make the neckband lay a little flatter. And I was almost out. I realized like a quarter of the way around, I was like, oh shit, I'm almost out of thread. And playing some serious thread chicken, and I shit you not, literally like just the perfect amount to go all the way around. Sometimes the sewing goddess does smile upon us. Not a lot, not often, but sometimes. Time for the reveals. First, I'm going to model this lovely tank top. I had to show it off a little bit because I did knit it out of my own hand spun. And yes, it is flipped under in the back for some reason. Whatever. Woohoo! This is the first one out of a bamboo blend fabric from Core Fabric Collection. They're a Canadian company, if you haven't heard of them. Also do really good classes. Next up we have a floral print blue cotton jersey. Also very lovely. This is the only one that I also did the twin needle finishing up around the neck. And last but not least, the navy. This one you might be able to see I have contrast thread in red with these pretty decorative stitches around the hem and the armholes. It is finished! It is done! I have 3 t-shirts that I made and I drafted the pattern. What am I, a wizard? I am very, very happy with how these turned out. All 3 of them, super pleased with them. Love how they fit, love all the modifications that I made just in terms of my own preferences. So that would be things like, because I am such a long torsoed human, I made them sort of like a longish crop, so they can be like tucked into jeans easily and things like that, and it's not going to be like a bunch of like fabric bunched up everywhere, but also if I don't feel like wearing them as a crop top, they're still like long enough to be an actual shirt. I also really like, I didn't really do this on purpose because mostly I just ran out of fabric for making them long sleeve, but I really do like a sort of, you know, not quite 3/4 sleeve, but long cap on a sleeve. I mean, I'm not like the most like jacked person in the world. Anybody else who does any strength training knows sometimes if that cap sleeve is a little too high and it goes right just above your bicep, it just goes hit right around your armpit. And as I mentioned before, I really hate that so much. So I like having this kind of, you know, longish short sleeve. I just sort of like, when I was drafting the pattern, I just sort of guesstimated the front neck drop, and happy where that came out. I'm also really happy with the fit of them. When I was drafting the patterns, I actually totally forgot to even think about ease. Like, I was just like, oh, let me just do it on my exact body measurements and like that'll be fine. But luckily, because I was working with knits, that is fine. And I think if I had remembered to think about ease, I would have made the same choice, where I didn't do negative ease because I don't want them to be like super tight, but I also want them to be fitted, so I wasn't going to do a ton of positive ease anyway. So I'm very, you know, they came out great. I'll just have to remember that for next time I try to draft anything. But yeah, I think all of them went really well. I eventually figured out that twin needle thing, except for there was one one thing that I did really screw up, and not like on any of the actual shirts, but you can see on the navy one, and I did it in a contrast thread because I just love a contrast thread. I just love it. Did this kind of fun decorative stitch on the hem instead of the twin needle. That would be because I was being a real dodo bird and I got my twin needle set up and I had it all threaded and I was ready to go, and I forgot to change my machine to the twin needle setting, and I broke the twin needle. So yeah, and and it's okay, and that kind of thing, obviously happens, but I just, every time I do some kind of goof up with my machine, I just feel like a real asshole. Like, I really love that machine a lot, and it's, I really want to take good care of it, so anytime I do something doofusy like that, which, I'll give myself credit, isn't too often, but, this is also why I don't always sew for, like, too many hours straight, because you get tired and you start doing doofus things like that. But I do like the little decorative stitch I chose. I think it looks really cute, and I really like it with the contrast, and I like the red with that dark navy blue. I think it's really pretty. In terms of my favorite one, I don't think I would say I have a favorite, but I do, the one that I'm wearing, also just because this is just a very flattering color on me to have on camera. I think these two, they were just like randos from the clearance section of the Mood website that I, got because there was a, extra sale going on. They're both cotton, but just like random cotton jerseys. This is like a bamboo blend, so it's like kind of the bougiest of the three of them. All three of them came out great. Yeah, super pleased with it. Really really nice to have been able to make like a basic thing. Like, I'm usually, the things that I make, whether it's sewing or knitting, they're so like extra, and then I have to go out and like buy basics to pair them with, like, you know what I mean? So it's cool to be able to like make something that I can wear with like a really, wacky patterned skirt or something, and it's still something that I made myself. So that is very cool. I also had a really good experience drafting the pattern. I think I definitely feel a lot less intimidated by that as a concept. It was super straightforward, and I think will be super easy to do the skirt that I want to do, and we'll talk about that later. Overall, good experience. Feeling good about it. I'm also, not for nothing, feeling good about this specific video. The last one I posted, it just didn't seem like I was having any fun, and it was kind of like dour, which, possibly could have been because I was like cleaning and that's not really fun. I mean, it was nice to discover that I could use that tripod with this camera, and I was so excited to realize that like the janky tripod that I use to like set my phone up when I'm doing like a streaming workout like can flip over and give me overhead shots. So that's really exciting, and it makes me, feel a little bit less self-conscious about like how old and junky this camera is, and the tripod is super broken, but like it works well enough, and well enough is all I'm really looking for at this stage in the game. So hopefully this video was a little bit more fun to watch and demonstrates that I really have been working hard on trying to learn video production and editing things, and yeah, that's all for now. We'll do more later. Da 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 da. Is that okay? Oh, who is she? Dude can kick. Nope, can't stretch. Can't. So freeing. This is so freeing. Wait, I can do basic camera equipment. Very fun. Hey, look at me filming from 2 different angles. Look at me with the overhead shot. I'm a YouTuber. Less shiny now. It's pretty scary before.